Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you got some rest last night. I hope you have been able to kind of finish up all the preparations and that you're feeling a little bit more comfortable on this hurricane that's heading toward us. So I don't really know where Shaka went at this point. For those of you that don't know, I have a dog. Her name is Shaka, and I adore her. And she right now is the only one with me at this place at this time, and also at this place. But we just had a 2 o'clock advisory in. And so I just kind of wanted to show you what we are now looking at and perhaps maybe what we are seeing if in fact there is any kind of a change or a shift at this point. So I think what many of you already know, there was a third landfall. This is the first one in the United States. This was Cujo Key, and that was a little after 9 this morning. So I think I saw a wind gust of 107 miles per hour, so that in the Keys. And we, late last night, saw the motion lift from west to west-northwest. And I've been telling this to you guys all along. So it's not the I told you so game. I just want to remind you of what we were chatting about earlier, which was it will move from west to northwest, then to north, and all of that change of direction. Holy crap, I'm going to have to get the dog. You need to be quiet. Shaka, where are you? She is a loud one, isn't she? All right, you're going to make your debut. There must be a squirrel. And there she goes. She's off. How do you like that? I think maybe she just wanted a little screen time, so there's her screen time. There she is. And she's going to have a little baby brother soon, so I'll share that with you later at a better moment. But a couple things I want to chat about, and those are some of the things that we're saying. So let's see, we saw the direction change. The direction change, that's that turn that we talk about, and the turn is slow. The turn doesn't happen overnight. It's not a straight point. It's not a direct line. It just kind of rolls. And so it was moving at a pretty good rate of speed. We saw, like 14 at points, 16, 17 miles per hour, and then the turn starts. As the turn starts, hi guys, I see all you guys have joined in, and I'm actually happy that you guys are here because I think we're all in this together, and I know the anxiety and stress and everything is kind of up to. And I'm sorry, I have one of the Facebook friends is Irma. I'm sorry. I do not like the name Irma. If I never hear the word hurricane again, it'll make me so happy. And I know. Ben, thank you. Where are you guys? Are you here? You're in Central Florida. I can't really remember if it's you or your twin that's down there. And I thought maybe you left, but I want to say you're still local. So let me know. Those of you that are somewhere else, if you can just kind of pipe in and let us know what's happening in terms of the weather conditions. I chatted with my buddy Cindy. She's in Sarasota. She said the winds have picked up. So far, no damage. And honestly, I'm really grateful for that. And her mom's up in Georgia kind of watching from afar, and I think she's joining the live shot. So, again, as best as we can do this, I'm trying to do this for you guys. I have said to you guys, I can't see all. I walk away from my phone, I come back, there's 100 and 200 notifications. I can't read it all, and I certainly can't at this point, because it's a little crazy, respond to all the messages. So please try to keep it at a minimum. I think what I've been trying to do is just scroll through the live if there are some quick comments or things that I can comment quickly on. I'm trying to do that. So, yeah, Phoenix is nice. Yeah, I'm happy for you. Any wind or rain at this point, and I think most of us have noticed, and maybe it's a surprise, up here, and we're in Tallahassee, it's a little cool out there. We're chilly, and it's breezy, and we have had some intermittent rain at this point. This is not the hurricane per se. This is all outside of it. So don't get panicked yet. Not yet. I mean, there's probably time to panic a little bit later. Okay, so first shot. All right, here's your first shot. Here's your big radar. Hey, by the way, I had somebody call me out for doing portrait. I don't give a crap what it looks like in your timeline. I want the portrait mode. I've been in TV long enough to know whether I want landscape or portrait. I want to see the comments come up on the bottom, not on the side. And if this is all you got going, which is you're the orientation police, please unfriend me, because I don't need that at this point. The less stress for all of us, the better. because it's been stressful enough, and it's also going to be, you know, a long period of time. I'm going to try to hit everything up as it's going to happen. We just have started. All right, so here it is. If you watched it and you've been watching radar for a little bit, a couple of things you may have noticed. One, a lot of rain now kind of moving across the southern third of the peninsula of Florida. All right, remember it's all counterclockwise, and so there's that fetch. Now, this is a solid view. We've got really good radars, and so we can kind of composite them, which means we just kind of put them all together, and you can see in its entirety, there's your hurricane. Something else to notice, there's your eye wall. I'm seeing things, and I'm just pointing out what I'm seeing. I'm not seeing a perfectly symmetrical, well-formed hurricane. That's what I'm not seeing right now. So it may be kind of suggesting that we're getting a little bit of dry air intruding. And this is certainly not dry because this is rain and this is heavy thunderstorm activity and it's all rotating this way. But on the backside, we're not seeing the intensity and the coverage of rain and thunderstorms, right? At least the lower half, as we're seeing on the north and, of course, the eastern side, or at least the northeast half of the side. Ben's in Miami. Okay, you lost power at 7 o'clock. Holy cow. And I know that, Ben, you've done a good job, and you guys are all settled in and hunkered down. And I'm so glad that, and I really do feel this way, I'm so glad that all of us have pretty much taken this thing seriously. We've dismissed everything that we were hearing from outside sources, which is really the right thing to go and look at. I don't want to jump at anything yet, Barbara. So, again, let me just, for those that are joining us, and I want you guys to see what's going on in case you don't have access. And the other side of this is, I had no idea that people across the country were watching this. And so a lot of our friends, and we all have them, and maybe you guys are sharing the videos, they are, West Pompano has no phone. Yeah, no phone and TV is okay. You know, it's the power that's going to be a problem, especially if you have to kind of keep that going. But, Jimmy, thanks for that update. And I'm guessing that's your grandfather that's down there. I think at this point what's happening is we're seeing the rain and everything's kind of coming up. So it's not up here yet, not in the North Florida area. You know, everything has been confined to basically the lower peninsula. First landfall was Cujo Key. Did I move that? Yeah, it was just reloading. This is live. First landfall was Cujo Key. So you're going to see a satellite view now. So it moved across the Keys, right? There's the Keys. And again, we're not seeing that well-defined, perfectly symmetrical formation, even on the satellite view. I like that. I don't know about you guys. I like it. What else do we see? The motion has shifted. The turn, I believe, has been completed. Was west, then it was west-northwest, then it was northwest. And if you follow it now, these are the grid here that you see, latitude and longitude. Follow the dot, right, because that's the center. You can see the lift toward the north. So it is moving now in that direction. We were waiting on that turn because, unfortunately, for us up here in northwest and the panhandle of Florida, northwest Florida, the more it stayed on that northwesterly direction, you know, the worse it was going to be for us. This is not to say that it's not going to be terrible, because it is terrible. And honestly, a couple of things to note. This is probably the first hurricane that I have seen. This is my expertise, by the way. This is the first hurricane that I have seen that has impacted and will impact an entire state. We're a big state, but think about this. It's going to impact the entire state. Even if you're not going to have much of an impact. Hi, Kim. You're quite welcome. Even if you don't have much of an impact, you're going to have something. And closer to where the center is, closer to where the eye wall is, you're going to have a much more severe impact. If you're at the coast, you have different types of impact. So we're all in this together. We're all going to go through it. We are simply at this point, I think, hoping for the best outcome. We're trying to stay calm and keep our wits about us when we're hearing people perhaps panicking, perhaps telling us things, and then this is my brother, and then perhaps suggesting that they have their own philosophy or forecast as to where it's going. My buddy Sandra Golden, she's in Atlanta. She shared this. I put it on my Facebook. This is just something to keep in mind. If Wi-Fi fails and you have no power, but you have access to your phone, change your voicemail greeting. You can update your status and tell people you're okay if they call your cell phone and you change your voicemail greeting, because it doesn't require Wi-Fi or any data use. and put a date and a timestamp on it. So if you're going to check in by using your voicemail on your cell phone, say, hey, you know what? It's 2:30. This is Sunday afternoon, and I'm good right now. I'll get back with you a little bit later. Honestly, that really is a great tip. I'm so glad she shared it with me, and I'm now able to share that with you. So some of this stuff is really good stuff. And unfortunately, as we go through hurricanes, it's a learning curve, and it better be a learning curve, because I would be embarrassed if we didn't see a previous hurricane and didn't do better the next time. I would be embarrassed if we didn't do better the next time. All right, so let's try this. Let's see what's happening, what's changed on the advisory. All right, now the motion is north. And oh, by the way, it's also picked up a little bit of speed. So a little north, and actually it's now true north. It's not north. It's just north. If you look at the grid, these are latitude and longitude markings. You can see that. One more thing. These little dots are the forecast points. This is the best effort of the Hurricane Center, and these are the specialists. These are the experts that we have in the country and almost on a global scale. These are their forecast points. Don't focus on it, but notice they've been getting it right. They've been telling us it's going to follow the cone, it's going to head this way, and it has fallen within the cone. Don't tell me, I don't want to hear it. Don't tell me they've all been wrong. No, they haven't. Honestly, everybody is breaking their backs to make sure that you guys get really good information. I think the only thing that's been wrong is when you've heard people say, oh, I'm here 50 years, we never get hurricanes, we'll be fine. That's not who you want to rely on for, the most accurate and the latest up-to-date information. So it's following what we thought it was going to do. It heads this way. What happens? As it's moving to the north, the right side of its direction of motion. And yes, that is just about all the peninsula of Florida because of the size of this thing. All right, I did pull up the public advisory, and let's see, I'll give you guys something to look at while I'm trying to read this and chat with you at the same moment. The public advisory now says that, and there was an update on the position. With the passage of Irma in the next couple of hours, the wind direction will shift to onshore. This is what we were chatting about. And there is a rapid rise. This is what the Hurricane Center is telling us. There has been a rapid rise in the water at the coast. This is the storm surge, and it is in two locations, the Marco Island area, and also we're seeing an incredible rise in the water near the Naples area. And you might be asking, why in the Naples area? All right, here's a different radar. This one updates automatically, so if it fades, that's why. There's Naples. Rapid rise. Why? Because this is all pushing up. And so it's coming this way and it's moving that way, but as it keeps, and it will keep moving, as it keeps moving toward the north, that wind switches around, the water will be rapid. The other thing to notice on a radar, you guys already know this. You get wind, you get rain, you get storm surge. Well, we've had a front. Cold front has moved down. It's chilly outside in Tallahassee today. And oh, by the way, those of you up north, I say chilly, we're in the 60s. So there's that. But cold, dry air collides with the tropical air, which is warm and muggy, and you're seeing these pop-up things. Those are tornado warnings. We actually saw a few of them, even as early as late last night, but that collision is also helping to spin up in a smaller sense, a little bit more wind. So on top of everything else that we're dealing with, you will hear about these tornado warnings. So that's just another aspect to what this hurricane can do. All right, so let's go. All right, so I'm going to show you the track. And oh, by the way, here it is. This is the 2 o'clock advisory. So notice here on the bottom, this is the newest information that you're probably looking at. The winds are 120. Now, it is still an incredibly intense hurricane. It is still a dangerous hurricane, and it's still considered to be a major hurricane. We've chatted about the fact that 111 and higher, which is Category 3, 111 miles per hour has to be the minimum wind for it to be major. It's still a major hurricane. There's your motion to the north at 12. So again, it's just a little bit faster. You know, we've been waiting on this thing for so long. I'm not sure, honestly, how much longer my patience and yours as well, I'm sure, is going to hold up. But there it is. All right. So north, solely north, winds are a little bit weaker, but it's still a major hurricane. All right, it's not a straight line. It doesn't follow these nice smooth things. Remember, it's this big system. It's going to, as it moves up the peninsula, cover from east to west coasts, clouds, rain, thunderstorms, all that stuff. All right, What is the thinking? Well, here's the cone. Follow the, I'm going to take off the line for a second. You can't have it because, oh, by the way, I'm in charge. Here's the cone. It follows the cone. They have not been wrong. And short-term forecasts are the best. There's bigger cone area up top. Don't pay attention to that. Confidence is good. Accuracy is good here. And, you know, I've been using the terms it wobbles, it nudges, whatever you want to call it, call it. But it's not going to continuously move in a direct manner, in a direct line, following a nice, smooth point. It's just simply not going to do it. Delisa, I know you boarded up. Are you at work or are you at home? And you better tell me where you are. Because I know you got a new house that you just bought, and I'm sure that you're concerned about it. And I know that you've done, you know, a lot of things. All right, so we're confident it stays here. Where is it staying? Notice the cone. It hovers across pretty much the western half of the peninsula. So we don't believe the center will be on the east coast, but the hurricane's going to be there because the hurricane is so big. So when you're seeing the cone, it's only that small spot in the center. It's only the eye of the hurricane. The hurricane is everywhere, all over the state of Florida, but this is only where the center's going to be. So still, because it is 120-mile-per-hour winds, we've got the major hurricane. It is a Category 3, so it slipped down from a 4. We're down to a 3. It is moving north. On the right side of its direction of motion as it moves is the stronger wind and typically heavy rain. So we're not going to be spared on either side of the coast of the peninsula. You know, the wrath at this point of Irma. It does, however, continue across land. I have at least noticed some of the dry air coming in on the backside, but, you know, more across land, especially when the circulation, or at least the center, is entirely across land. There's going to be more interaction with the eye wall, which is really where that heavy rain, that donut-shaped area outside the eye is, and that will help to slow down the winds. So from major, we're looking at about, morning tomorrow. This goes from major to top end of a Category 1 would be 110. So that could be the upper threshold, but it still weakens as it, mostly as the land interaction. And then finally, as it heads into southwestern Georgia, and this should be Monday night, we weaken it down to a tropical storm. So as it approaches, we are still looking at hurricane force winds, and these are the sustained, so that means you can have gusts that perhaps are a little bit higher. You went to, oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Bunny. Anybody that wanted to go, we have a voluntary evacuation in Leon County and down toward our coastline. I wanted it to be mandatory, but yeah, they want the residents out. And I believe south of Highway 90, it is a mandatory evacuation now. And that would be around the Sopchap, all those areas on the coastline at this point. So it does kind of follow this general direction, not necessarily that nice curved line, but it is potentially, a little bit on the eastern side of what, the cone has been. And again, I'm cautioning you, don't bite for a temporary shift. Don't bite on a temporary shift. The wobble, right? Whether it's the center or the whole hurricane, it's not smooth, it's not simple, it's not, a perfect path. So there may be wobbles. We're pretty confident it's going to be within the cone. So we have played the what if scenario. What if it does take this kind of path, but let's say it's more in the left side of the cone. That would be to its west. Well, to its west is more directly across the Tallahassee area, and that is the worst case scenario for us. I can't sugarcoat anything. What if it moves more to the right, which means now it's in the eastern side of the cone? I did say Highway 98, no? Am I wrong? If it moves to the right-hand side of the cone, that's a little bit better for us because that takes the stronger winds just to the east, and we may see the outer fringe of the eye wall, but perhaps for not that same long duration kind of thing. So we know it's going to be within the cone. We're pretty confident about that. Confidence builds. I have chatted with you guys about how it will left adjust, and then it usually right adjusts as it's about to make landfall, and that's what I'm seeing. It's about to push toward the Naples area. What was our update? The position update, I don't think it was on that. So on the advisory, I'll let you guys see all of this stuff. Here it is. It is currently 35 miles to the south of Naples. That's where it's located right now. That's the 2 o'clock, by the way, position. And at 3 o'clock, they'll probably give an hourly update on that. But it's about 35 miles to the south of Naples, which is also about 70 miles to the south of Fort Myers. And I know that you guys are really familiar with many of these areas, so let's move the radar. Let's go up a little bit just so we can kind of see what's going on. This one will include the Tampa Bay area, and then you can see the coverage of all of the rain. So I wasn't kidding, was I, when I said you've got rain from coast to coast. There it is. Please again note, while it looks like a nice curved line down here, and that would be the end of everything, it's not. Radar can scan well a certain distance, and because the Earth is round, it tapers off, and so this is the end of the radar scope. That's it. That's all that is. Because you guys have already seen all that rain across South Florida. So there's your motion counterclockwise. Notice, and this is really the core area, but even far ahead of all of that, there's rain moving in. Some bands, some outer bands, and then also just some tropical air that's starting to move in. But these bands will be some, bursts of thunderstorms, maybe some wind gusts, but then it may taper off into the green shadings here, into a lighter type of rain. So the weather's moving up from the south, so it's a north motion. The rotation is counterclockwise, and this is what we're watching at this point. All right, where are we? Here's Naples, right? See, there's a plus there. There's Naples, 30 miles to the south. Isn't that what we said? I'm flipping on you, so you bear with me a second. 35 miles to the south of Naples. Here's Naples, 35 miles to the south is where the center is. Here is Fort Myers, it's 70 miles south. So there's obviously a 35-mile distance between Fort Myers and Naples. And so and the reason they're telling you those two cities, by the way, it's because that's the general direction it's headed. And so these are the areas of first impact. You're going to get the eye wall. So you're seeing the rotation, you're seeing a little bit of an offshore flow. It's all going to change because as it keeps moving up to the north, everything then starts to come onshore. So what happens to us? Well, we're going to start to see a whole lot of things. What we're first going to start to see is a change in things like wind. Now, it's been a little gusty here today for us. And it's been a little gusty because even though the bulk of the rain is well to our south, it's a big system with a big flow and a big circulation. All right, there's that. Rainfall forecast, and this is through Thursday. So even if we go out through the entire duration of the hurricane, here's what we're looking at. Lesser amounts in the panhandle, lesser amounts, right? The light green, a couple of inches of rain. Now, when you've got the orange and the deeper orange, or yellow and orange, I don't know how this represents to you guys, but now you're looking at maybe 3 top end of 8 inches, give or take. We can get some totals that may be a little bit higher with some of the isolated and perhaps stronger thunderstorms. So, plus or minus 2 on the 6-inch side, half a foot plus or minus 2 inches. We'll go with that. In northeast Florida, and then down through the Tampa area, there's a pretty good swath where these rainfall amounts are going to be a whole lot higher. Let's say about a foot. And then as we head towards South Florida, because now we've got some motion here, we're going to see probably a little bit less than that. So we're pretty well covered, aren't we? We've got the rain kind of impacting the entire state, and that is, of course, in Florida. If you're in Georgia, even the South Carolina and Alabama states, you're going to get some rain too. And of course, this is only as we go through Thursday, depending on how quickly it moves through. But certainly there's a rain event going on here. I don't see the excessive flooding that we had in Harvey. That's not going to happen because this is not stationary. And one more time, I remind you, it's not stationary because there's your motion, north at 12. There's that good indicator that this is moving in and it's going to move through. All right, so here is the best way to see the size of Irma. This is one of those, actually, this is the GOES 16. This is the newest satellite that we have that's really got a high resolution. It's probably got more detail than anything else. It is able to show us a couple of things. You can actually you can see flow out clockwise, high up, and underneath you can see the circulation of the hurricane. So thank you guys for all your kind comments. Honestly, I appreciate it, and I think at some point it has been overwhelming, and if I keep reading them, I might even get a little bit emotional about it. So I appreciate it, but, we're doing this to see what the heck is going to happen to us, and how are we going to handle it, and when is it going to happen, and that's what I'm trying to help you guys figure it all out. All right, so here's the satellite. We've got coast-to-coast clouds. We've got coast-to-coast rain, and it's heading up to the north. And even as you look at this, there's your spot in the center. There's your eye. I'm not seeing that, fuchsia. It's almost a purple, all the way wrapping around. So I feel like there's a little bit of dry air coming in. I'm not dismissing anything, so it's still a very powerful and dangerous hurricane and major. But it's moving, and you can see the motion to the north. Now, you can play it out. But the problem is it doesn't follow that path, and any kind of a shift, right? Any kind of a shift changes the impact. Shift more to the west increases the impact across our area, but we're ready. We're hunkered down. Those of you that have decided to leave, you got a smaller window now, but till about 8 o'clock tonight, because that's when we feel like the winds are going to start to pick up. Here's what we're looking at in terms of storm surge. Now, storm surge is the height of the water, and that is the height of the water above the typical high tide. So when a hurricane is approaching at high tide, it exacerbates it. Yeah, put that in your lexicon. It exacerbates it, so the water rises higher. That's all that means. If it comes at low tide, it'll decrease the height. So that can help us, but this is the best estimate from again, these are the experts at the Hurricane Center, and they're able to do this, and they have some pretty good models that are giving us a good representation. So our Big Bend right now, it looks like about a 4 to 6 foot surge. So what if you have friends, and they're still at the coast, and they're refusing to leave, even though I'm telling them, get the hell out? Water's coming up 6 feet. What are you going to do now? We don't want you on the top floor. We want you on the bottom floor, but the water's up 6 feet. And, and I've shared this with you guys. My husband is with LCSO, and he is one of many of our friends and family members who are first responders. And if you send him out to try to help you or to save you, you are putting everybody now at risk. You already put yourself at risk by deciding. You chose. That was your decision. You chose to stay. You put yourself at risk. And now you're going to ask for some help, and you're going to put the responders at risk. And that is not going to make a lot of people very happy, and certainly that's not going to make me happy. So I apologize for that, but if you need to evacuate, we up here still have the window. Go. Till 8 o'clock tonight, you can go. If you're along the coast, I want you out. If you're in a mobile home, I want you out. It's your family. It's you. Do you want to leave them with all the stress of wondering whether or not you're okay? So that's ours. And of course here, this is the worst storm surge area. And as I said before, the Hurricane Center is telling us on their update that the water rise is incredibly rapid here. But remember, the eye is getting closer. So this is the full force. This is the brute force intensity of the hurricane, the eye wall. And so it will keep moving toward the north, and with it, that air, the rain, the water, it's all slapping on the coastline. Now, when I show you this graphic and the Hurricane Center is estimating this is the height of the water, we're not including waves, right? So you get water. Where's water? Well, there's water at the beach. Woo, woo, woo. Then you add a hurricane. It's kind of like when you have a glass of water. You want ice water, right? And we're smart people, or at least we think we are. If we're smart people, what we do is we fill the glass first with the ice. Why? Because when we add the water, we've already made room. It's an Archimedes principle thing. We have already made room. We can melt the ice, but the level stays the same. But what if we had a full glass of water, like we have a full ocean body, and then we add the ice? You slap it down and everything's coming up. So we have the full body, right? We have the ocean, we have the Atlantic, we have the Gulf. It's at a certain height, and it's kind of like we're adding ice. We're adding the hurricane. Well, if you push down, it's coming up, right? You push down, it's coming up. The water's climbing. Then you big sweep, right? Because the hurricane is rotating like this with these incredible winds. I know if I put the phone down, you get all this animation. But all of that is pushing everything, and it's pushing the water, and it pushes it toward the coastline, and it will also slap waves on top of that. And that honestly may be my best explanation of what storm surge and how high that water can get, but it's really important that you guys understand it. And honestly, this is part of the reason that we want you away from the coastline. Okay, so you guys already know this. We do have the warning in effect. So the purple is the hurricane warning. And what a warning means, hurricane conditions are likely. The time frame is 36 hours. We're in the window now. We know it's coming. It's not going to disappear. It's not going to fall apart completely. It could change its intensity. But I'm telling you again, don't bank on anything. We have prepared for the worst, and we're going to hope for the best. But we have prepared because we know there's a hurricane coming. So we're all in the warned area. Again, it does include, let's see, we've got Leon and Wakulla and Franklin counties. The areas west of there, that shading is for a tropical storm warning. Those conditions are likely also within 36 hours. The warning is for 36, the watch is for 48 hours. So if it's tropical storm, the winds are less. Honestly, that's what that means. The winds are less. So lucky you guys. Your winds, your estimate by the experts is that you probably have tropical storm force winds. Now, those are still pretty good winds. 39 to 73. Be ready for that. You guys should also. Anything that's loose, that's outside, you bring it in. You don't want these things flying around. So it's not that you're going to escape everything. And you also saw you're going to get rain. And you're going to get tropical storm force winds. What about for us? This is, Leanne, I'm so glad. I really am. This is what we're watching. And in terms of the timing, and let me show you this. Where is the timing? Okay. Oh, here it is. This is the experimental product by the Hurricane Center. And this is the earliest arrival of tropical storm force winds. So we start at 39. It's coming up. Right? It's right now 35 miles. This is a little off, though, and I was trying to update it. Let's see if it updates this time. Nope, we're still at the 11 o'clock. They don't do this one as often as they do the other graphics and the advisories. So as it comes up, we're looking at the earliest arrival of, let's say, 39-mile-an-hour winds this afternoon. It's already happening because we're seeing those wind gusts. So for us up here, a little bit later. At the earliest, we're looking at 8 o'clock tonight. So when you heard that voluntary evacuation and they said, okay, if you're going to go by 8 o'clock and then you hunker down, that's why. Winds are going to start to pick up. If the winds start to pick up, we, again, don't really want you in a dangerous place. The car is dangerous. The car is dangerous because it's like a mobile home. There's room for air to get underneath. Air gets underneath. These things flip, and there are injuries, perhaps fatalities. So that's your window. If you're still thinking about it right now, you have about 5 hours. But we've seen some wind gusts already locally. We know the winds are going to continuously increase. This is the earliest arrival of tropical storm force winds, so that's the 39 to 73 mile an hour range, embedded. And we say embedded because you guys have seen this on the radar and on the satellite. Remember that orange, that deep orange and red? Well, that follows the tropical storm. Those are the hurricane force winds. We're going to start at 74, and right now, because we have sustained winds at 120, that's the possibility. By the time it gets here, is that what I'm thinking? No. No, because you got land, and the circulation will have an impact, which basically means you're going to slow down the wind speeds a little bit. Not, make it collapse completely, but it should weaken the wind speeds. So right now, the sustained is 120 with gusts higher, but the winds should be a little bit less by the time it comes our way, however it approaches, whether it's more direct or a little less direct, but expect, and this is still in the overnight hours. So we said about 8 o'clock is the earliest arrival of tropical storm force winds. It'll probably be, in the early morning hours after midnight when the hurricane force winds come. And then tomorrow, early morning, right, there's the center. So we had the northern half in the early part of the day. Once the center keeps moving toward the north, we get the lower half of the storm. And honestly, the difference between the top half and the bottom half of the hurricane is the direction. So you may have had a sustained wind early from the northeast, and then as it lifts, it'll come in from a different direction, which is really why the south side, and again, I told you guys, there's big storm surge that the water's already increasing between Fort Myers and the Naples area. That's because the winds are, starting to reverse themselves. Haley, there is the threat of tornadoes. In fact, on our radar, we're looking at some of the tornado warnings that have been issued. And it doesn't look like here in the Tampa area we're seeing, oh, there was one. All right, watch that box. When they do that, that's a tornado warning. So we do have the possibility of some embedded tornadoes, but the winds of the hurricane are normally stronger than a hurricane-spawned tornado. I know it doesn't really help because winds are winds and they're going to do damage regardless. So I've lifted the radar. We saw the rain coming in. So notice where we are now. So where are we? Here's Naples. Remember our center is, I guess I didn't really lift it too much. The center is 35 miles to the south of Naples. It's 70 miles to the south of Fort Myers, and it's lifting this way. And so there's a pretty good core area of incredibly heavy rain happening in this location. And then north of there, there's some lighter rain amounts, right? The lighter greens. There's a pretty good band kind of sweeping in. Now this is moving from, where's my buddy Kristen? This is moving from the southeast, and it's wrapping around like that. It's that circular path, which is really atypical, but it's because of the big counterclockwise spin. So we're watching some of that come in, and I'm seeing a little bit stronger thunderstorm kind of embedded. And there's actually a handful of them. So again, I expect intermittent tornado warnings happening as these things push ashore. And it's a lot of times when they move onto the land. That's where we get these spin-ups. Here's Orlando. Yes, all the parks are closed. And so, the rain is coming earnest. Here's a band that's kind of moving up. So the overall motion of the band that's lifting, the movement of the rain is rotating. Here's Tampa. Here's the Bay. So what's happening there? Again, this is a big area of concern, especially the storm surge in the Bay Area, everything offshore right now, because the eye is still down here. But as we keep pushing it up, everything is going to reverse. It's going to do that to us too. Everybody gets the same kind of wind field. So initially like that, and then eventually like that, which means southwest, and that's going to really push the water up around the Bay Area. When it comes our way, tropical storm is 39 to 73. So when it comes our way, that's what we're going to get initially. The strongest winds will probably be in the early morning hours for us tomorrow, which is, of course, Monday. And that's when we could be looking at the hurricane force winds. We are a little bit inland. We are seeing a little bit of weakening. And so I say hurricane force winds, they start at 74. I don't know that I can give you accurately a top limit. So we're expecting, the worst case scenario. I don't think we hit that when we had Hermine last Labor Day. It had sustained hurricane force winds at 80, and I think we saw 68 inland. So it does help that there's a little bit of land. It was a totally different kind of hurricane, and it was moving up in that direction. This one is coming in from the south, but it's coming in across the land. And honestly, as it keeps moving this way, by the time it gets to, and I'm going to call it around the Gainesville area, we've got a pretty good sweep coming in from the northeast. There's a lot of land in this area, and that really can help us with respect to the friction and kind of slowing down the wind speeds. I mean, we're going to all watch it play out. I wish I could give you really concrete information of here's the time of the wind, here's the exact wind speed you're going to get, etc., etc. But I honestly don't know all of that. I actually wanted to go back one more time. Let's get a whole shot of the state of Florida. How you like me now? That's what Irma's saying. How you like me now? I don't really like hurricanes at all at this point. I appreciate them. I respect them. I have studied them. Wait, somebody yelled at me. People yell at me. I don't even know why. And why am I listening to them, more importantly? Because I was trying to be funny yesterday. And so in the TV biz, we call it supers. Sometimes people these days call it a lower third, but we still call it supers because I'm old school. And so you see somebody's title and you see their name. And so, well, I wrote it and I flipped it up. Oh, it's backwards. It's backwards. How smart am I now? Yeah, like Irma. How you like me now? I wrote it backwards. I do have an AMS seal, and there it is. It's probably not the way they want me to show it to you. They actually gave us paperwork showing us how it's supposed to be displayed. I don't know that I can get in trouble for this. My buddy Valerie refers to me as the weather captain, but I actually am a meteorologist. I look like I have the handwriting, by the way, of a 3-year-old. That is my little bit of levity. All right, so, yeah, that's all you get. I know. Writing backwards is what I'm going to do. They used to do that in the old days with what they used to call the weather bunnies. They'd have to write backwards on a piece of plexiglass. Thankfully, technology has really changed and advanced. All right, remember here, there's the tight circulation, isn't it? Can you imagine? That's the eye wall. That's what is, and it's probably closer to about, 20, I'm going to say 27 or 30 miles now, just to the south of Naples, but that's it. That's the center. And so it's moving to the north, and all of this is associated with Irma. These are the bands. This is the big flow. I wasn't kidding when I said clouds coast to coast, right? Because within the clouds, we have also got rain coast to coast. So nobody's missing out. If you're looking for a little bit of rain, that's certainly here. And we've looked at some of the projections where we're going to get, somewhere plus or minus a couple of inches of rain, about 6. The highest rainfall totals are actually going to be in this area. And that's where the rainfall totals could exceed a foot. And you can see why. I mean, when you see the different shadings, there's your well, this is in decibels because that's the way it works with radar. But, this is the heaviest rain right now. And you get heavy rain over an incredibly long period of time, and that's where you get your flooding. Yeah, I'm going to get a PhD in writing backwards. So here's all the rain. So we're up here now. And for those of you that you have been elsewhere, I've chatted about you guys. I'm going to talk about us for a little bit. Winds are from the northeast. It's chilly outside. That's the northeasterly wind. The hurricane keeps moving up. If it continuously moves in a northerly path, I don't like that I have a straight line because, we have rounding and curving and wobbles and nudges and all adjustments that we make. But if it overall follows that path, we see tropical storm force winds and perhaps the hurricane force winds. If it shifts a little bit more to the right, then we see a little bit less of an impact, but we all have it. And so, honestly, this is what we're looking at right now. Winds are going to start to pick up as we head toward, I'm going to look to see if there's an update. Here, how about that? Up to the minute, the most accurate news is the Dig Down Weather Center. You're 3 o'clock. This is 3 o'clock. It's 3:02. Sustained wind of 55 miles an hour, gust to 82 at Naples. So the municipal airport has actually experienced those hurricane force winds. In the Opelika airport, 63 mile an hour sustained wind, 84 mile an hour gust. So that area is getting slammed right now. And here is the new position. We still have 120 mile an hour winds. This is as of 3 o'clock today. It's moving north continuously at 12, and it is now 20 miles south of Naples. That's the center of the hurricane. It is now 20 miles south of Naples. So I'm going to have to go back to that radar so you guys can see it. All right, let's find Naples so we can see where it is, and you'll get a fix on it. All right, we're loading. Here's Naples. And it was 35, and that was at 2 o'clock. So there's your motion. They said north at 12, right? So now we're 20 miles. Holy cow, at least it's moving. I don't know about you guys. Please come in and move out. So there's the center. You can actually see it right here, right on the cusp. There's the hole. That's the eye. That's the eye wall. So it's 20 miles south, which means it's about to hit them, the eye wall. And this is more potent, it is stronger, it's the fury of the hurricane, and so this is the part that really is going to unleash a lot of energy. It'll keep moving to the north. Here's your Fort Myers, so that if they said 70, we reduced that by 15, we'll go 55. So right now the center then is about 55 miles to the south of Fort Myers. So that's exactly what they're looking at. And no, Leanne, we shouldn't be experiencing that here. And not because I don't think it can't happen, because anything can happen, but the difference is it's going to sit over land for a little bit longer. And as it sits a little bit longer, there's a bit more friction, and then we're going to start to dry it out a little bit. And so all of that really does help for us to not see the same impact. Let's update this one too. Let's see if there's a new picture that may show us as it's heading, and here we are. So, all right, we do have a new picture. Here's the frame. You don't have the grid on here yet, but you can see how close it is to the coastline. So the nice thing is, if there's there's a little bit of interaction, there's a little friction, and we're going to start to see a change in the intensity. It could be really slow. I would love for everything to be fast. We want this thing, over before we wanted it to come in. And there are the forecast positions. And I remind you, that's pretty good, isn't it? If I were a betting person, I'd be betting on the Hurricane Center. They've done a really good job. So there's no certainty in any of this. There's absolutely no confidence in anything that somebody else is saying to you. I want you to be, again, listening to reliable information, people that know what they're talking about, and they've shared it with you. And I think the local media has done a pretty good job. I mean, you guys know who you watch, who you like. Watch them. Trust them. They're sharing all the same stuff. Nobody has any special tool or special computer model. We're all just kind of providing the same information that comes from the experts to our south. So that was our 2 o'clock, and now you have the 3 o'clock advisory. We're going to wait a little bit because I tried to just shut my eyes for a minute and listen to some music because, you have to walk away from this, and I'm going to try to do that again. And I encourage you guys to do the same thing. My buddy Sandra had that best tip, which is update your voicemail on your cell phone. It does not require Wi-Fi or data use. And as you update your voicemail on your cell phone, provide the date and time so they know when you've done it. Don't do it now and then never again because you already did it, because they want to know what's going to happen to you tomorrow and maybe tomorrow evening. So it really is a nice way, if we're losing power and we lose communication, for you guys to make sure that your family and your friends, these are people that they have to know, don't be selfish here, because the stress will kill them as well. And I know it's killing us, but make sure that you provide that for them. Everything loose has got to be secured. You now have less than 5 hours. If you want to evacuate, your window is up to 8 o'clock tonight. So 5-hour window. If you still are thinking that you don't feel safe where you are, you need to find a safer place. And it may just be at somebody else's home. And I think my buddy Trish was in Carabel Beach, and now she's at Carrie's house. And there's nothing that makes me happier, because I honestly was yelling at her yesterday to do that. If you still have some friends and family and they're at the coast, they need to evacuate. And there is but no doubt this is mandatory for them. They need out. Offer them a place if you can. There are many, many shelters that are open, and you can see that scrolling on your screens on the television. We haven't lost power there yet. There's also plenty of websites that will provide that same information for you. So if they're not sure where to go, try to help them out if you can. And at this point, we are still, I am saying a little bit of a prayer where I'm hoping for the really best outcome that we can possibly get. But stay calm. Please remember that your kids get nervous too. If they see you panicking, they're going to feel that, they're going to sense that. So as best you can, try to keep calm. And honestly, talking to you guys this way, even though it's just me talking to a hand phone, it helps me as well. So I thank you for that, because, I'll keep telling you the same thing. We're all in this together. We'll all experience the same kind of stuff in the same cities. So we have done our best, and now it's a wait and see game. We'll keep watching. Anything changes, I'll post, or I'll let you know if we're going to do something else. But for right now, you guys, go have a good meal. You've got power. You've got electricity. Cook something nice. Sit down with your family. Tell them how much you adore them. And then, we'll chat a little bit later, okay? So, in a few hours maybe. Good night.